Okay, the weather is great, and it's mulch season here in India. Or actually, I have a party in about a week, so I need to get some mulch down to make the house look good. I've got 8 yards sitting there in the driveway. I plan on filling most of the beds up, at least half the beds today. So I want to talk about a couple areas that I want to address. So this is the first one. It's got a Japanese, I think it's a red blood maple, great tree. I've also got some ground cover in there, and I got a couple daylilies, 5 or 6 daylilies in there I need to get out of there. That's one bed I'm going to attack. This is the bed I'm going to actually edge and mulch also, cutting the line between the grass and the mulch. It's got a ton of daylilies, got some dogwoods. That's a cherry tree right there. Nice flowering tree in the spring. And as we wrap around to the side of the house here, this area here, I've always hated to cut the grass here because the plants are so tight together. I had every intentions of putting a bed in there, and I hope to do that this spring. We'll see if I have enough mulch to make it happen. But it's got some magnolias. I just got some blueberry bushes to go in there. And then this doesn't look great. It's the hot tub area. It's pretty weed infested, looks nasty, but we're going to clean this up real quick. And it's going to look like $100. Bunch of daylilies in there. We call this the rose garden. I'll get a little bit more details later as we get into this project, but it's called the rose garden for obvious reasons. We have a lot of double knockout roses sitting right there. It's also surrounded by the sweet bay magnolias. So we're going to start up here in the front like I talked about. I yanked out the 6 daylilies. They just don't look right in there. I want this ground cover. I think it's Pakistan is what those little ground covers are. They're kind of slow growing, but once they get in there, they give a really good color. So I'm hoping maybe next year or the year after that it's pretty full and I won't have to mulch this here anymore. It's hard to clean it and it gets a lot of debris, and I think the ground cover is like a perfect fit for there. It's surrounded by concrete and hard surfaces, so I love the idea how it's got plants and it softens up the area a lot. Got that all cleaned out. I moved over to the front landscape bed here. So what I like to do first is take a rake to it, get all the sticks and leaves out for the most part. Now I've just split the daylilies I yanked out of the other side, and I split them in half and I just replanted them. It's not the best time in the world to actually be doing these kind of things, splitting plants, because it is warmer in May. Usually you want to do that in April, but these daylilies, they can take it like a champ. So you can basically let those things sit on concrete for a month and they'd still live. So when you start talking about edging, what I do is I take a spade, a flat spade, preferably a wet ground like it is today, and I simply just cut a straight line down. The reason why is I'm creating a lip between the grass and the mulch bed. That's going to catch the new mulch. So I use the spade, I cut out some sod, small amount of sod. Depends on how long the bed's been there. This one's been here for a couple years, so it wasn't too bad. But I cut out the sod, I make a real clean break, and I make almost like an indent into the yard. And my goal is to take the older mulch, spread it out, get it level, and then I'm going to come over the top with newer mulch here in a minute. You can see here, this is a pretty worn out edge, but as I go around that corner with the spade, it cleans it up real nice. I just toss the dirt up, and then I move it out of there later. The ground's just too wet for a tractor. I do use a tractor in certain spots. It tore it up a little bit, but especially in the front yard, I'm not going to risk the tractor. I'll just do a little bit more manual labor with the shovel and take all the scraps to the woods. About got this here. Just use my foot kind of to pat down the small pieces of dirt. Just makes it look clean. You can see this is what it looks like before I put the new mulch on top. It's got a nice lip to catch the new mulch, and it gives you a nice break between the yard and the bed. It's really simple. It's a little bit of labor. Takes a little while because I'm going like the width of a spade, which is about 8-9 inches, and doing that over and over again. But honestly, it took me maybe like 20 minutes to do that. So now it's time to hook up the tractor, get the tractor fired up. I got the front end loader off of it. I'm simply going to go ahead and attach the front end loader. It's a pretty simple process actually. Just hook the hoses up, you drive it forward until the front end loader is lined up, and then you just use the controls to lift it up, get it in position, and you plug the pins in, and it's good to go. You do have to pull it out and lift up the legs. I'm going to do that here in a second, but it's nice to be able to take it off and on so easily. Now the mower deck, on the other hand, that is not fun. I probably should have taken that off for this project because it is heavy, but that thing is such a pain to put on and off. I love the way it cuts. It's a great attachment. It's just, boy, they got to find a better way because I just hate doing it. It's actually it is what it is. The deal with my wife was I got a tractor and not a zero turn, so, and the tractor has to be the mower too. So here we go. We got everything cleaned up in those two front beds. Got the front end loader full of mulch, and I start bringing it to the front. Now, back in the day before I had a tractor, I had a wheelbarrow. 8 yards of mulch, and actually at my last house, I think I ended up getting 20 yards every other year or something like that, maybe 10 and 10. But boy, with the wheelbarrow, it's a lot of work. With the tractor, it's still a little bit of work, but at least I can get it there. I don't have to break my back trying to get it to the location. I just got to break my back trying to get it on the ground. And this is the area I was talking about earlier. It's just hard to mulch. These little plants are so small, I can't really dump it in there. So I pretty much got to toss it with a shovel and then spread it out slowly, trying not to hurt any of the plants. I think I did end up ripping out one or two, but I put them right back in. I think they survived. That Japanese maple is really pretty. It didn't get frostbit this year, so it's really showing some colors. That one's pretty much knocked out. I used the blower, get that all cleaned off, and it looks good, but then I make it dirty on the other side. Well, here I am once again using a lot of manual labor to toss that mulch in the corner. The corner's pretty cool. There's a swing sitting on our porch right there, and that's a nice little nook right there. Basically just spread out. You know, this had a pretty good base of mulch already. I mean, you want to go like 3 to 5 inches usually on mulch, but because this had a pretty good base of mulch already, I think I tried to go pretty thin. I have a lot to mulch, so I think I ended up trying to be around 2 to 3 inches is what I tried to do. It's hard to judge it. You know, sometimes you'll break too much away and you'll see the older mulch. You just go over the top, add a little bit more. It's not hard. This is the fun part. This is where it starts making the landscape looking good. You know, the prep, it makes it look even worse. But when you put the new mulch on and you make that lip nice and clean, it really makes the yard pop, especially with the green vegetation, the plants, and all that good stuff. Got a bunch of flowers getting ready to bloom in here. The daylilies. I don't remember what the flowers are. They got the pink heads there. They're really gorgeous. So there's my transplants there in the front. We'll keep you updated on those. They just need to be watered. They'll be fine. And just like that, the tractor and my rake made pretty easy work. I think it took me about 3 or 4 hours. But the key is, you know, when you edge your beds, make sure the ground's soft. You don't want to be doing that one in the middle of June or July. You want to hit it early. At least in Indiana, you want to hit it in April or May. Anything after May, it gets too warm and the ground gets too hard. So use common sense there. Just finishing it up, smoothing it out. Looks pretty good. I'm going to give these little transplants a little bit of dose of water. Actually, quite a bit of water. They'll be fine. I'm smoking in the background there. I don't remember what I had on there. I think I might have had ribs on there actually, so I don't remember. I don't think I did a video on that. And that's what she looks like, all cleaned up. Used the blower, looks pretty good. So the wife came to the rescue here. She got ahead of me, and I didn't know she was even back there doing this, but she weeded that rose garden for me, which is a big time saver. She wanted to get outside, I think, and just start pulling weeds and made that humongous stack of them. It looked better as soon as she got done pulling the weeds. We were a little light on mulch last year. I don't think I did mulch last year for whatever reasons, and you pay the price. The weeds come back, and it's hard to keep up with it when there's not a good bed of mulch. So the mulch is great for that reason. Now, I know a lot of people use rock in Indiana instead of mulch. I don't like that. I don't like that for several reasons. One is mulch actually helps the plants grow, and it's really nutrition for the plants. The smell is second to none. The look is second to none. Rock just comes across to me as just being too hard. You know, a lot of times your houses have brick or they have a hard siding, like such as this concrete siding. That's a lot of hard surfaces. The heat goes up, and I like to mix it up. Even when I pour concrete up against houses, and, sidewalks, and pavers. I always leave a gap. I always want vegetation between the two hard surfaces. And rock, just to me, just comes across too hard. It doesn't come across friendly. That's my opinion. I've seen applications where it looks really good, but in my homes, it's always going to be mulch. It's worth the extra work. It's the freshness of the home every spring. You can't go wrong with it. So I am. Same process here, other than I started with the mulch instead of the edging. The reason why, because this is a pretty high bed here, and I have a lot of mulch up in that area. So if I would have edged it first, I would have crushed the edge that I edged. because I need to get the mulch up there at the top. So what I decided to do here was basically, let's get a good shot of mulch at top, and then I'll come back like I am now, and I'll edge it just like I did in the front yard, using a spade. Real simple, almost a straight down motion, and I'm just clipping about 1 inch to 2 inches of grass every time. Now, yeah, you think to yourself that bed's going to get bigger and bigger every year, but you know, if I take 1 inch every year, I'm talking maybe like you're going to be out 10 inches every 10 years. If I'm here 10 years from now, I'll be surprised. So I love it here, but it doesn't really matter. The bigger the bed, the better too. The plants are going to grow with it, so all these plants that I have in here are all designed to grow and at least get to the point where the original border was. So that's a hemlock you're looking at there. That hemlock's doing pretty good, but the one in the front yard is doing a lot better. I like those trees. They're really pretty. I think an eastern hemlock. You're looking at some more daylilies. I love daylilies. Obviously, I got a ton of them. They're such great plants. They're easy to split, and they look great. In about June or middle of June, they start blooming. That's a sweet bay magnolia. I've talked about those before in other videos. They look great. So I talked to Boy into coming out and help me out. This is his specialty. He does landscaping in the summertime. He's a mulch machine. He likes the wheelbarrow. He likes the workouts. Doesn't like the fancy, make it look pretty stuff. So we switch here in a minute. He wants me to take the rake, and he wants the shovel. He gets a good workout, and that's a good deal for me because I didn't want the good workout. I prefer the rake, if you know what I mean. This rose garden's pretty cool. It's got drip irrigation all the way throughout, and I got drip irrigation on a lot of stuff, and that makes it a little harder to mulch. You gotta be careful with those lines. But all these rose plants, the hanging baskets I got up there that I did in one of my videos, they all have irrigation. All the daylilies have irrigation. The magnolia has irrigation, and then there's some lilac bushes back here in the corner between the house and the screened-in porch. It also has irrigation. So the jury's still out in the hot tub. My wife talked me into it about 1.5 years ago, and maybe 2 years now. And my son uses it all the time. Her and I rarely use it. I think my daughter was out in it the other day ago. I want to use it more, but it's kind of lonely when you sit there by yourself. So jury's still out. It looks great. The rose garden's a really cool place to hang out. I'll do a tour of it, that porch area someday. But you can see how nice it is. I got a bench and a little table, and it turns out really nice. That's our master bedroom there with the sliding door. About got this. The mulch is looking great. Smells great. I've got a lot more to do. I got half the house done, so I'll get another load of mulch here in about a week, and we'll address that issue. I'll probably end up recording that too. So all I really got to do is boy's done and clean up the mess we made, make this area look nice, and call it a day. That's a wrap. If you like these types of videos, give it a like. Make sure you subscribe. Please share with family and friends. And like I always say, I appreciate you spending time with the Home Pro Hero.